And we're back, baby. YouTube, we are back with another trade recap video. It's been so long, and you can probably tell by now a different background, meaning I did end up moving. So I ended up moving, which is why I've been super inactive the last few weeks, just super hectic with moving, packing, unpacking, all that stuff, building things. It's just been super crazy, and I've been so just, you know, by the time I'm finishing unpacking or packing and stuff, it's just like I've been super tired and not even wanting to look at a chart, especially because the market has been super untradeable right now. With the VIX being, over 20 for the last like few months or a few weeks, it's super hard to trade options, right? If you trade options, you would know that, or you should know that at least. But yeah, but today is April 6th. I took my first official trade. This is the first day I've been able to sit down and actually just watch the markets this morning. The last few weeks, it's been like, watching the markets for 20 minutes and having to get up and start packing some more stuff just because I'm trying to hurry up and get out of that. Obviously, when you got apartments, they don't mess around. They don't give you extra days and stuff. You got to get moving, right? So kind of why I've been, just being super inactive. But let me go to a few of these trades that I took today. Not really alerted in any Discord. I'm still trying to get back in my groove, right? I'm a little rusty, right? There's been a few trades I'm starting to learn how to take, which is completely different than what I've normally done, right? Just regular options. This is going to be a little bit different, right? I've been taking a few different trades, still trading some options, but the two trades that I took today were options, and then one trade, kind of the bigger trade that I took today, was selling options, right? So credit spread type of option. Like, this is super new to me. I'm probably the terminology. I might be saying a few different, few different terms than what I'm supposed to, right? It's just a little confusing to me still, but I'm gonna show you what I took today on S&P, Qs, and Netflix. Those are the three trades I took today, and I'll show you the position here or what I was up. So I'm up around 470. This is probably down a little bit more than when the screenshot was taken, because a few of these positions I'm still open, still have open, and then Netflix, obviously I trimmed a lot of my position on that one. Netflix, I ended up trimming. We're on like 7 contracts, and I only have 3 left. So just runners at this point. My stop loss is a break even on that. Risk-free trade so far on that one, but the rest I'm still on, or I'm still in, and I'll show you the positions I'm in. Right, so I ended up taking, my first trade was Netflix, and I'll show you why I took it here. So basically, we ended up getting a gap up to that $100 side level, right? $100 side level, which is also this point of rejection a couple weeks ago, right? You can see we had that huge gap up, right? Let me see, let me move this out of the way. We had a huge gap up on February 27th that ended up pushing the price all the way to 100, right? Basically, no red days for 6 following days after that, and we come to $100 and we reject and sell all the way back down to around 90, right? So $10 sell off from the $100 spot, which is what happened today, right? We ended up seeing a gap up once again, right? We did end up, kind of pushing back down to the 20 or the 50 EMA. Ended up, basically buying it back up, and we got back to the $100 cycle level today, and that's where I ended up taking the Netflix puts. So we ended up gapping up. We made a huge move kind of in the pre-market, the 5 minutes before the market opens. So you can see it's, basically, the price jumped from 100 to like 101. So $1 move right before the market opens. Huge push to 102.60. Obviously, this wasn't the move I chased. I'm obviously waiting for this 5-minute close, see what happens, see the market react at certain key levels and stuff like that. And obviously, right, with gap ups on the overall market to the moving averages, we're watching how those S&P and Qs react at these moving averages, right? So we started seeing kind of the markets shift a little bit from green to red in the first part of the morning, right? We had the S&P kind of gap up a little bit and sell back down. Obviously, we're still green here today, so we did end up moving back up. But Netflix, you can see, is still weak on the day, which is why I'm still in this position. The 5 minutes kind of swept over that pre-market high and sold back off. I ended up watching the first 15 minutes, and I ended up getting in this pullback here. So this pullback was super low volume. You can see we kind of sold off that $100 spot. So it's kind of like a fake breakout to a now kind of selling back off, which, if you've noticed the markets, it's not a breakout market right now, right? You don't want to take breakouts at this point. if this is 2025, this would have been a great trade to take to the breakout side, right? Which is why, majority of my trades the last, 6 months with breakouts. But now, right, the last 2 months have been basically buying on the support levels and selling at the resistance levels, right? And basically waiting for markets to break a structure and then fail that key level, right? Typically, this would have been a breakout trade over that key level 100, but obviously we're taking the opposite here, right, in this market. So took the opposite, waited for the market to come back and retest that $100 spot, right? Low volume, ended up taking it here on this kind of like retracement a little bit and ended up selling down, right? So that's where I took it. Took this trade here. Stop loss goes a high day. Ended up selling it down here for around 25% for majority of my position. And now I'm just leaving runners to run. That was my first trade on that. And you can see right now on this daily chart, super, super nice trade so far. Basically selling off that $100 spot. We could potentially see another, $10 drop to the downside to 90. But who knows? That's why I'm holding my 3 positions left, and that is that. I ended up also taking QQQ puts, which is what I'm still in. I bought the, let me see. So I ended up taking the 575s for April 17th. You can see here. So you can see here. Okay, whatever. It's blurry. The 575s. Okay, whatever. So the 575s, April 17th puts. So I ended up taking those kind of towards the first hour and a half of the market. I ended up watching to see how it was going to react here around this 20 EMA. Huge key level, right? Obviously, we had some low volume on this move to the upside. Obviously, we bounced pretty hard the last few days, right? From that 555 low. We bounced up about 6%, but very low volume. Obviously, Thursday was kind of that holiday. Um, with the market being closed Friday, not probably not a lot of people were trading, which is why you saw some low volume. But still, the volume is decreasing. Off, technically, when I'm watching that and you see low volume like that, volume decreasing is a good sign to wait for the retest and take it back to the downside, right? That's just kind of how I trade a little bit. So saw it rejecting the 21, and I started to take it as soon as I started seeing a rejection on the daily chart. So I didn't even look at a intraday kind of trade or intraday kind of time frame. I was only taking this as soon as I saw it rejecting the 21 EMA on the daily chart, which is why I'm only basically break even on that trade so far. It hasn't really moved from my entry. Um, yeah, so I entered around here. Stop loss goes a high day, and I'm targeting down to 570, right? 570, 575. And that's what I'm looking at there. First target will definitely be probably this 580 spot, which would be that 9 EMA from below, right? So I want to see it kind of, if it starts to fail at 21, it will probably end up coming down to 580 to see the 9 EMA, right? Or the 8 EMA. And then once it comes here, we'll either see it, kind of support off that spot from, below it, or it'll just fail it and we'll come down and probably see some new lows here, right? And then hopefully see it potentially even a newer low from down here, right? Um, well, that's kind of what I'm looking at there, and that's why I'm in those. So super low risk, right? Stop loss is high day, which is not even wasn't I don't think it was either 10% or 11%, which is what my stop loss would be. So here's the trade that I took, which is a little different, right? So I took some credit spread trade, right? My first ever credit spread trade that's not paper trading, right? So this is my first real trade that I took. Basically, I am predicting that SPY is going to close under 660. So the way that I've kind of learned how to take is I took 10. I'm gonna go back and I don't want to say it wrong, but basically, basically, how I learned how to trade it, right? You can see here. I don't know if it ever clears up on the screen, but I know it's inverted. But basically, it's 2 positions, right? You basically take a hedge on your actual full position, right? So for me, I'm bearish, right? So I'm selling 660 calls, right? Meaning I'm predicting that SPY is going to close under 660 today, right? The expiration is today. So as long as SPY stays under 660, I win 100% of my position on that specific trade. But then you also take, you know, calls, right? You also take, like, let's say my 660 calls, or the ones I'm selling, right? I'm hoping it stays under. I'll also take 662 calls, right? You could take 663, 664. I took 662 calls to the upside, right? Obviously, those are a little bit cheaper, right? I took 10 of those. So basically, it's a hedge, right? So if I'm wrong and SPY ends up being bullish today and it closes above 660, I'll either, hedge, it's basically hedging myself to, if I'm wrong, that means I'm wrong a little bit less than normal, right? Because with credits, right, you can lose as much as you can lose unlimited, right? That's the difference between just regular options and credit spreads, right? You can lose basically, oh, more than 100%. Basically, you can lose an unlimited amount, and you can only make 100%. That's the max you can make is 100% of your investment. With options, right, regular options, you can make, you know, unlimited percent, right? If you're taking calls, it can go as far as it wants to, right? There's no limit on percentage you can make, but you can only lose 100%. So it's the opposite. It's a little different, but it's a little bit safer, right? When you have the VIX elevated, it's basically just me using that to my advantage. Obviously, if we just stay around the 25 to 26 spot on the VIX, it won't really affect it, right? Um, which it'll probably end up, if I'm right on the side of me being bearish on SPY, if SPY starts to drop, the VIX will start to elevate, right? But that's just me, right? So far, obviously I'm right so far, right? Because I got them around 668, 660. I think I got it around 658.50, which is, well, I'll try and pull up as quick, kind of right around the area I bought it at. And you can see it's been just basically just chopping all day. So this is good so far, right? As long as it keeps chopping all day, it stays under 660, I'll make 100%. And even the position I took on the calls on the other, right? Basically my hedge bet, the 662 calls, um, that'll basically, even if I lose 100% of that trade, it'll be less than what I made on the other one. So it basically is just going to be like so far I'm up 60% on the credit spreads, and I'm down 74% on the calls, but I'm up basically overall, right? I'm up almost $200. So it won't really get affected that much, right? It'll affect how much I could have made on just taking the other side, but I'm pretty sure I don't know if you're able to even do that, right, without taking the hedge bet, um, but yeah, you can see, like, let's see. So I'm up 60, up 495 on the credit spreads, and I'm down 325 on the calls, the regular calls. So yeah. So that's the trade so far. I'm just holding it all day. I mean, I could sell it. I'm pretty sure I could just sell it right now for that profit, but I want to make a full 100% on my. I just don't think SPY is gonna close at 660. So holding that so far. Those are the trades. Trade weekend. That was a little bit different. I'm probably complicating it a little bit more than I should have, but the more I do it, the more better I'll get, and then I'll kind of have a better explanation on them. And yeah, those are the trade recaps. We're back, baby. These are going to be coming out a lot more sooner. Not going to be waiting 3 weeks to make another video, but we'll be back for the next one. Peace.